Hi everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations and your Simon today. And in today's video, we're going to be exploring house, sign, and planet simplified. And the intention behind this video is to show you how, from an evolutionary astrology perspective, when we look at the planet, we also take into account the sign and we take into account the house. We synthesize these together. We have one archetype. And then from there, we start to look at the charts in a holistic way. And this gives us an opportunity to not only have a relationship to those archetypes in your chart, but also within yourself, so that you can actually use astrology not only for transformation, but also to not get all caught up in the descriptions and the memorizations of things, but to be able to intuitively connect to it in a way that allows you to see the story unfold in yourself. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I'm really excited about it, as always. And yeah, now part of this video is part of a series that we're creating. And the first two we've already shown. We talked about the 12 archetypes, and we talked about how to use astrology as a transformational tool by seeing the planets in terms of what do they actually represent for your soul, right? So by looking at it this way, like I said, it gives us an opportunity to feel empowered when we're actually using our chart. Now, before I jump into all of that as well, I do want to share with you, as you guys know, if you've been following this so far, we've actually hit 30,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So once again, a big thank you to you guys. I mean, our community ultimately is why Raising Vibrations is here. And we are so grateful to be able to share our ideas and our passion for EA with you. As part of this process, we also put together a really awesome Astrology School offer. And this is something that we probably won't be doing again. It's a limited amount of time that we're putting it out there because we really want to offer the best possible support for those that want to enroll. And today is day 3, so we've only got 2 days left. And you can learn more about that in the actual description, and I'll put it as well in the comment section. And I will take like the link to go to the page where you can read all the information and all the details that come along with it, including all of the free bonuses that we've put together, because we're really excited about actually, teaching astrology in a way that, like this series describes, but also because I've been kind of really wanting to teach a live class again. I haven't done it in about 2 years. So that's part of a process here that I'm really excited to and connect with you guys. So if you do want to enroll, this is a limited offer, and it's probably not going to come around again for a long time. So make sure that you click on the link beneath this video as well as in the comment section to go check it out, okay? And enroll. All right, so house, sign, and planet simplified. Now, the reason why evolutionary astrology looks at the archetypes from the perspective of this, let's just in this case, the sun, the 5th house, and say Leo, or Pisces, the 12th house, and Neptune. The reason why we put all of these 3 together is because one of the guiding principles in evolutionary astrology is to look at the chart from the perspective of the trinity. So in the case of past, present, and future, or if we're thinking about the way that nature predominantly works, we have the masculine, we have the feminine, and when they two can join together, they create a third entity, right? So we have the trinity over here. And what we are actually measuring is the soul's experience, or your evolutionary process, as it were, through time and space. So it's time, it's space, and then it's your conscious emotional, unconscious emotional journey through that. So when we look at the charts, we're measuring the evolutionary journey of the soul, okay? And so by taking the sign Mars, in this case, we'll show it in this chart over here, by looking at the 1st house and by looking at the sign Aries, we derive the instinctual expression of a new beginnings. And so we do this with all the planets and houses and signs. And we create a very simplified expression. And then what that leads us to are 2 things. One, when we're looking at the chart, we are paying more attention to the synthesis of how 2 archetypes will express themselves and how they shape you and why are they there. And 2, it gives us an opportunity to start looking at what is called repeating themes. And this is something that you can actually go home or go home, but you can go and do on your own chart, which is just notice. I mean, it will be a bit difficult because, you know, you haven't been trained in EA completely. But if you look at your chart, start to notice repeating themes like, let's say your Jupiter is conjunct Venus, right? You'll notice that Taurus is ruling your 9th house, or you might have Jupiter in the 2nd house. Or Venus is in the 9th house, Sagittarius, squaring, say, Jupiter in the 7th or the 6th, okay? So there's these repeating themes that begin to show up. And when you synthesize the planet, the house, and the sign together, you actually start to extract this beautiful story that comes out of the chart itself. And then, of course, as you dialogue with a person about what those themes could show up in their life like, you start to connect with what I was talking about as the emotional journey that is the soul, right? And then from there, we can open up into deeper layers of understanding the experiences and the storyline and the thread and so on. So what I want to do is I want to show you over here in evolutionary astrology, we look at Mars, we look at Aries, and we look at the 1st house as the same archetypal expression, okay? Now, in EA, we look at these 3 and we go, this is the instinct in nature and in our human experience to burst into something new, okay? And so Aries, Mars in the 1st house will reveal to us where there's a natural desire for somebody to begin experiencing something completely new, right? And that's where we take action. That's where we lead with something that is developing in the moment, okay? So now when you understand this nature about the Aries archetype, the Mars archetype, and the 1st house, you can actually start to see that if you look at, say, the ascendant, right? The ascendant takes on the qualities of this Aries archetype, right? The ascendant shows us how we reveal ourselves in each moment, along with the moon. That's why I put the Cancer archetype here. And so you can see that the ascendant draws from the qualities of this Aries energy. And Aries is, again, it's this new beginnings. So I think I may have talked about this in the previous video, where if you arrive at a new environment that you've never encountered before, you will notice the qualities of your rising sign or Mars energy show up very strongly. And you can start to sense the way that you interact with something that is unknown, Aries, because it's unknown in front of you, but something that is also revealing to your presence. It's like your attention is on yourself. Okay, how am I going to interact over here? What will people think of me? You know, most people will do that, right? Not everyone's going to be thinking in that terms, but for most of us, the attention is predominantly on ourselves. And then we kind of feel into the environment that is unknown. And there's this dynamic tension that exists with that Aries archetype of the anxiety of separation, right? Should I separate from something that's known into something new? And that's what Aries represents. So wherever you have the Mars archetype, the Aries archetype, and whatever signs on your 1st house, you can be rest assured that whatever those signs are, they will show you how you're going to express yourself and or respond in new environments. Now, evolutionary astrology looks at the Aries archetype, 1st house archetype, and it says, here's how the soul actually instinctually, right, acts upon the deeper desires that are held within Pluto. And so if you think about Pluto as our genetics, and you think about Mars as the ability to act upon the instincts that are emerging from Pluto. So that's what Mars really represents within the context of EA. It's where we instinctually respond to something that is actually coming from a deeper level within our unconscious, right? It leads us to new beginnings. Now, if I look at the Cancer archetype in this signature here, the Moon, Cancer, and the 4th house, they all reflect the same energy. And this goes for Saturn, Capricorn, the 10th house, Jupiter, Sagittarius, the 9th house. You go around the whole entire zodiacal wheel, right? And again, the reason why we synthesize these together is because from the principle of the Cancer archetype, or the moon, or the fourth house, we're looking at the instinct to nurture. Okay? So the principle of nurturing emerges out of, and it expresses itself, and it shows up as a Cancerian archetype. Now, in evolutionary astrology, when this instinct materializes itself in human form, it looks like the psychology of repeating themes, or repeating themes, but repeating habits. In other words, we instinctually go back to what feels safe, because for the majority of people, being in a state of insecurity is a very disturbing experience. Okay, a very simple way that you can prove this is by taking on the challenge of going to sleep on a park bench for 2 nights in a row, just in the open. Right? For most people, it would be like, you can do it, but it will feel very uncomfortable. You would prefer to sleep in a sheltered environment. And so that instinct to protect, that instinct to nurture something that's vulnerable, is the Cancer archetype. And what that does when it comes into our field of awareness, it develops our ego persona. So within the context of EA, if we were looking at a chart and we saw the moon, the sign that's on the fourth house cusp, and we saw wherever Cancer was, right? When you synthesize those 3 placements together, you actually get to see the way in which the ego structure will form in a person's awareness, in their worldview, right? And you can do this, of course, with your own chart. Now, the intention in understanding that formation from an EA perspective is to try to see what type of ego is facilitating these deeper desires that are emerging from Pluto, and that how they are actually being instinctually acted upon, Aries, and through environmental feedback. In other words, if you walk into a room and you shout at the top of your voice, "Everybody's an idiot," okay, you're going to get environmental feedback of people going, "What's going on? You're okay?" Some people might get angry, whatever. You get environmental feedback. When you get that environmental feedback, it immediately starts to become part of your emotional experience, right? You get this reflection from other people about yourself and your actions. So that's how we get environmental feedback. We learn about ourselves. And so these 2 archetypes specifically, when you're looking at the EA chart, you're looking at it from this point of view, and you're getting this information, and whatever the intention of the reading is, or what you're trying to understand about yourself, this is the foundation. So house, planet, and sign, or house, sign, and planet simplified, is merely saying that within the world view or scope of evolutionary astrology, we simplify things by taking the Mars energy, the Aries energy, and the first house, and we say that is how that creative expression exists. That's what it looks like. That's what it's facilitating. And when you go around the whole entire chart, you're able to understand the values of the soul. You're able to understand the ego structure. You're able to understand the values as Venus or Taurus. You're able to understand the creative purpose, the sun, where the structure of the soul exists from Saturn's perspective. And so in that way, we get to see the worldview materialize, and how your worldview is shaped, and what is the karmic principles that are running beneath it. So it's pretty cool. I love it lots. It gives me such a great way of being able to get to the point very fast in a chart, and to really work on the things that actually matter, as opposed to spending all your time trying to do all these, random mathematical equations and this aspect here and that aspect there. It's all mental gymnastics. And while it's great to have identification, the real work is actually in the emotional field. Cool. All right, so in the next video, we're going to be looking at how all of this works within an aspect. I want to show you how, from video 2, I talked about how the first square, as an example, has a very Cancer tone to it, and it reveals itself in a way. It's very 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so in the next video, I'll be exploring how these 2 archetypes, particularly actually within their relationship to each other, cause the tension, or reflect the tension that we experience between going out into something and doing something new, and wanting to come back to something that feels safe. So we're going to be exploring that, and I'm going to link it with an aspect as well. So we're going to do that, okay? All right, so just a quick reminder, as you know, the Astrology School offer, this is a limited process, so we will not be doing it again. And We are only opening it for another 4 more days. Sorry, not 4 more days, 2 more days. Monday, tomorrow is when we're going to close the doors, and then we're going to jump into and start the school straight away. So if it is interesting to you, if you want to study with us and also join me in live classes for the next 9 months, click on the link beneath this video, as well as the comments. Read what we've written on the page of all the information you need to know, as well as all of the bonuses that come along with it. And join us, okay? All right, everybody, take care. Bye.